stops the conversation and a good bottle of wine for this couple in France. Look at this. Diners in the city of Bordeaux were unfazed by demonstrators.
Household energy bill rises have been capped. France's largely state-owned nuclear giant EDF has had to take a financial hit.
I started to feel the price is going up in just a few months. But before it just a little bit, but now it's really, for me, it's not easy, you know.
Picture a country that's captured the world's imagination for centuries. A place where people dream of sipping wine under the Eiffel Tower, where the aroma of fresh croissants fills morning streets. But beneath this postcard-perfect facade lies a harsh reality that's turning dreams into nightmares. This isn't fiction. This is modern France. And right now, thousands of residents and expats are facing challenges they never imagined. Welcome to the untold story of why living in France has become increasingly difficult and why many are reconsidering their French dreams. Let's start with what hits closest to home: your wallet. France's economy isn't just stumbling, it's facing a perfect storm of challenges. The numbers tell a shocking story: a budget deficit that's ballooned to 6.1% of GDP, far exceeding initial forecasts. But it gets worse. Think about this: France's national debt has skyrocketed to 3.5 trillion euros. That's 114.7% of the country's GDP. And for the first time since 2008, French bonds are being traded at higher interest rates than Spanish ones. Even more surprising, French borrowing costs have surpassed those of Greece, a first in modern history. The impact on everyday life is staggering. Austerity measures are slashing 16 billion euros in spending. Business tax cuts meant to boost competitiveness have backfired. The corporate tax rate dropped from 33.3% to 25%, but instead of stimulating growth, it's just shrunk the tax base. And remember that whatever it costs spending during COVID, well, now the bill has come due, and it's massive. But the economic crisis isn't happening in isolation. In late 2024, France witnessed something it hadn't seen since 1962: the collapse of its government through a no-confidence vote. Prime Minister Michel Barnier's government fell after just 3 months in power. This wasn't just another political reshuffling, it was a symptom of deep-rooted instability. The reality is stark. France's parliament is fractured. No clear majority means every major decision becomes a battle. Every budget, every reform, every policy faces gridlock. The far right's growing influence has polarized politics even further. And while politicians argue, ordinary people suffer. The rise of extremist parties has created an atmosphere of uncertainty. Social tensions are rising, and effective governance seems increasingly out of reach. Immigration policies have become more strict, even as the country faces labor shortages. It's a perfect storm of political dysfunction that affects everyone living in France. But here's where things get personal for many. France's job market isn't just tough, it's a labyrinth of frustration and disappointment. The unemployment rate sits at 7.5%, but that number doesn't tell the whole story. Young people and expats face the toughest challenges. Want to start a business? Get ready for a mountain of paperwork. Looking for a job? Without graduating from the right elite school, many doors remain closed. And if you're an expat who doesn't speak perfect French, the obstacles multiply exponentially. The employment laws are some of the most rigid in the world. Companies think twice before hiring because letting someone go is so difficult. Networking isn't just important, it's everything. And the job market is heavily centralized in Paris, leaving other regions struggling. One expat described it as highly hierarchical, where things are slow and take forever. Living in French cities comes with its own set of daily challenges. Women report feeling unsafe due to street harassment during daily commutes. The famous French cold shoulder isn't just a stereotype, it's a daily reality. Newcomers often find themselves isolated, struggling to build connections. The constant negativity affects every aspect of life. French pessimism isn't just a cultural quirk, it's a way of life. Simple tasks become exercises in patience. And then there's the strikes. Since 1947, there's been a transportation strike every year. These aren't random, they're often strategically planned for maximum impact. Holiday travel plans? Better have a backup strategy. Family visiting? Warn them about potential transportation chaos. But now let's talk about money, specifically how much it takes to live in France. A single person needs around 832 euros per month, month for basic expenses, not including rent. For a family of 4, that jumps to 2,120 euros, again, before putting a roof over their heads. And in some regions, like Martinique, you'll pay up to 42% more for food than in mainland France. The housing market, it's a story that keeps getting worse. While inflation has cooled to 1.3% in 2024, down from 4.9% in 2023, housing costs keep climbing. The market's total value is set to balloon from 343 billion to 476 billion US dollars by 2029. That's a staggering 6.75% growth rate each year, and it's not good news for residents. Let's break down the brutal reality. In city centers, a one-bedroom apartment costs between 600 to 1,100 euros monthly. Want to buy in Paris? Prepare to shell over 9,000 euros per square meter. And what do you get for these premium prices? Often, surprisingly small living spaces that would shock most Americans or Australians. The government tried to help with the Pinel tax incentive program. Started in 1984, it offered tax breaks to property owners who provided controlled rate rentals. But after 40 years, even this program is ending in December 2024. Why? Because it wasn't working efficiently enough to justify its high costs. And it gets worse. Short-term rentals have taken over tourist areas like Paris. Local residents can't find long-term housing options. The government's responding with higher tax rates on holiday rentals. But for many, it's too little, too late. The trade-off is brutal. Move to rural areas for more space, but face limited job opportunities. Stay in the city for work, but live in cramped conditions. And don't forget the sky-high taxes, reaching up to 45% of your income. Add in social security contributions and VAT, and your wallet takes a serious hit. The impact? Social unrest. In regions like Martinique, protests have turned violent. People are demanding affordable living conditions, but solutions seem far off, and costs keep rising. Everything seems designed to stretch your budget to its breaking point. If you think getting a job is tough, wait until you encounter French bureaucracy. The system isn't just complex, it's legendary for its ability to test human patience. Simple tasks become marathons of paperwork and procedures. Opening a bank account? Prepare for multiple visits and endless documentation. But here's what makes it truly challenging. Most administrative processes must be conducted in French. Online systems often crash or malfunction, and government offices operate on their own mysterious schedules. One expat shared their experience. Administrative procedures may put your resilience to the test. Unfortunately, even when pointing out illogical aspects, you won't always get the help or response you may hope for. Visa renewals can take months of uncertainty. Each document needs to be perfectly formatted, and even then, success isn't guaranteed. The system seems designed to test your determination to stay in France. As if these challenges weren't enough, environmental issues add another layer of complexity. Major cities struggle with dangerous levels of air pollution. New low-emission zones restrict vehicle access, and climate change is bringing more extreme weather events than ever before. Recent reports paint a frightening picture. Without significant intervention, France could see temperature rises of up to 4 degrees Celsius by 2100. Water scarcity is becoming a serious concern, and infrastructure is showing signs of strain, with over 3,000 local bridges requiring urgent repairs. Extreme weather events are becoming more frequent. Heat waves scorch cities designed for cooler climates. Floods threaten coastal regions, and droughts impact agriculture and water supplies. The Climate Action Network warns that regions like Île-de-France and Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur face particularly severe challenges. Even French culture itself is showing signs of strain. Traditional practices are declining rapidly. Take the cheese board, for example. Once a staple of French dining, now only 35% of the population includes it in their meals. The famous French work-life balance is under pressure. Globalization is changing century-old customs, and younger generations are questioning traditional values. Some say France is losing its soul in the rush to modernize. The France of postcards and movies still exists, somewhere beneath these challenges. But the reality of living here has become increasingly complex. Economic instability, political uncertainty, and social pressures have transformed the French dream for many. As you watch this video, thousands are navigating these challenges daily. Some succeed, some adapt, and others choose to leave. The question isn't just whether France can address these issues, it's whether the famous French way of life can survive these modern pressures. And if you think France's struggles are unique in Europe, wait until you hear what's happening just across the Rhine. Germany, Europe's economic powerhouse, is facing its own perfect storm of challenges: rising energy costs, industrial decline, and a political landscape that's more uncertain than ever. Stay tuned for our next video, where we'll reveal why Germany's famous efficiency might not be enough to save it from its mounting problems. Want to know when that video drops? Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.